everybody. Welcome in to our weekly high school preview show. We are honored today to have a very special guest in, a member of the Etowah Blue Devils. Mr. RJ is in the house. RJ is on the sidelines every night. He is at every practice. He's actually a member of the Etowah Blue Devils. So he knows this young man to my other right here, Mr. Jay Green, very well. Last night, pretty disappointing Friday for the Etowah Blue Devils. Had a bad loss at Pell City, but the good news is it didn't mean anything as far as playoffs go. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about that game, Jay. I'm gonna let you take over from here, brother.
Mainly about the game Friday. It was just overall not good, not poor performance. Which Etowah, they are pretty dinged up pretty bad. Trent's got the high ankle sprain. Nana's got a banged up shoulder. Then Brady gets hurt. He turned around and he gets chopped up at the knee. And then Ollie Finch has got a partially torn MCL. He didn't play Friday night, and he probably won't play this Friday night. So, but still, I mean, it just wasn't a good game at all. They didn't look focused. Like we've been seeing them focused, man. They were kind of undisciplined a little bit. We had a lot of bonehead penalties, but like Bo said, this game, it didn't matter. They're 6A, we're 5A. So the games that matter are the region games. Douglas, Alexandria, Boaz. We got to go into them games looking to win because them are the games that count for the region. And, the goal is region champs. We want to be at home in the playoffs.
Let me ask you something, RJ. You knew Coach Holliday was going to get some attention today from some players, didn't he? How did that look out there today?
It was rough.
Were they doing some running and some drills?
Yes, we had to do tackle drill, and we had to do sprints, like 60-yard sprints, and we had to do rolls on the field.
And I'm going to go and tell you right now, rolls stink. All of y'all that think rolling 100 yards is easy, I'm telling you right now.
No.
If you start from the 1 yard line in the south end zone, you go all the way to the north end zone. Rolling, I'm telling you, by the time you get up, you're going to be able to puke. And then half the time, you got 3 sets up. So I'm telling you right now, it's no fun.
RJ, what was the demeanor like on the sidelines Friday when things started kind of going bad? Does everybody kind of had their head down? Or?
Yes, we looked defeated.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the good news is, you guys can bounce back this week with Douglas. They've got Coach Wadley there, who's you guys know very well. Got a lot of respect for Coach Wadley. He's building a program at Douglas. It's going to take a little time. They do have a win on the year, 55-0 over Brindley Mountain. But I think Coach Holliday got their attention today. What do you guys think?
I bet they did. I bet they did. Yeah.
And he also called out juniors and seniors for leadership.
That's true.
Important.
Yeah, it is.
Going forward, especially.
Because when you look at what they have in front of them, it's everything.
Exactly. They
Region champs, host in the first round, all that.
All of it, man. It's the pot of gold is just in reach. You got to go get it. Then once you get the pot of gold, then you got to go get the $1 million, which is the state championship. So.
Right.
You just got to take it 1 week at a time. You got to win every week. You can't be looking ahead. You got to look at the opponent the same every single week. Doesn't matter if they're 1-5 or 5-0. You got to look at them the same.
RJ, let me ask you a couple questions. Being a Blue Devil man, what's your favorite memory at Jim Glover Field? I know you got a bunch of them.
Probably beating Gadsden City my junior year.
That was a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. Who's your favorite player of all time from Etowah? That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is.
Besides Jay.
Like me.
You? Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That's some self-confidence right
I like
there.
that.
So Trent, Jay, bottom line is, how do they kickstart this offense and get it back going?
Just got to go back to what they were doing.
Well, RJ said back to the basics.
Back to the basics. That's what they got to do. They just got to get back to the basics, And like I said, man, it's kind of excusing it not. I mean, they're dinged up, dude. But they just got to go back to the basics. Go back to what they're doing, playing disciplined football, and just focus on being successful each and every play, and just go away from mistakes, all the penalties and stuff.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Defensively, man, what do you think? Because I didn't never expect them to give up, 40.
Defensively, they just, back to what you said, go back to the basics.
Were they popping pads today, RJ?
Tackles, yes.
Yeah, tackling. They just need to, just go back to the basics, man. Discipline football and
Effort,
100% effort, and like all of them say, like all y'all say, win the day. Just got to win the day on the field.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, RJ, I appreciate you sitting in with us, my man.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next game is going to bring us to Fife versus Cedar Bluff. Last year was the first meeting between the two teams. Fife won 56-0. Fife this week coming off a big win, 55-0 over Sandrock, in a game the coach was a little concerned about because Sandrock had been putting up some points. Cedar Bluff actually suffered their first loss of the season, 55-22 to North Sand Mountain, who seems to be on a roll since they lost to Collinsville. Got to looking at some very interesting stats on Fife for the year. Everybody talks about, offensively how good Fife is and how they execute. Here's something that's pretty scary. They're giving up 1.5 points per game. They've outscored their opponents 238-9 on the season.
9.
They've given up 9, and that 6 was late in the second half versus Asbury, when basically it was 8th graders on the field that had been in since the first quarter. So, yeah, they're giving up 1.5 points. I'm telling you, defensively, this is the best team I think he's had there defensively. Them guys can go on the defensive end. Offensive end, too. Zach Pyron's caught fire all of a sudden. He's back healthy from his foot, and he had 4 touchdowns in the first 10 minutes of the game the other night. Ike's running good, and now Dukes is emerging as that power back as they wanted him to be. But both, I know you've seen them play, and you've seen them play over the years. Moving forward, when you got a game coming up, Cedar Bluff, and this one's on the road, seeing these kind of stats, what jumps out to you about that?
Well, it's just kind of the utter domination. The fact that, outside of, like we said before, they had one game where there was a little back and forth and one game where they had to really kind of focus for 3 to 4 quarters. And outside of that, they're not, they're just kind of rolling along. But the thing is, in college football, when you always see a team play the lesser opponents, Sun Belt type teams like that, you always say, can they focus all the way through the game? And this shows me that Fife is focusing throughout the entire game. So they're not losing focus. They're not just rolling through the motions. They're actually they're concentrated on what they need to do and getting better every week. And that's going to pay off, because the question is, when you go through a season like that where you don't have a whole lot of competition, you don't have a whole lot where you've got to really grit down, can you pick back up in the playoffs and do that when you've got to grit down later on? And some teams can, some teams can't. It sounds like Fife will be one that should be able to.
Well, I'm not sure how Fife prepares for other teams like Asbury and other teams that are Sandrock, but I know that for years they've been trying to get Fife and Cedar Bluff to play for years, and last year was like the dream setup. And of course, the nightmare came crashing down for Cedar Bluff. But as far as, I know some folks in that area that know some of the Fife players, and they're fired up about this game as if they're playing Ohatchee, because that's right there in close proximity. It's a rival. I say rivalry because they've been wanting to play for years.
Yeah.
But now they finally got a chance to play. This is their chance, because a lot of players on both sides over the years have been kind of chatting up, saying, "Man, if we played y'all, we do this. If we played y'all," well, now they're getting a chance to do it. They put them in the same region, and Fife's just letting them have it.
Yeah. It's interesting, man, as the season. I asked Coach the other day, I was like, how do you remain so focused and keep these guys dialed in? And he says the same thing every time. He goes, you got to make these guys realize that there's only so many of these you're going to have in your lifetime. There's only so many of these Friday nights. It don't matter who you play. That means nothing. It don't matter who's on the schedule. That means nothing. What matters is all that hard work you've done in the weight room, and all those hills that we've ran, and all those, these drills and bear claws and lifting all this weight, all that. Are you going to let that all me for nothing, or are you going to go out here and show what kind of work you've put in? And that's kind of the message he teaches. And when I went back looking over some of these stats, and it's not like they've played a soft cupcake schedule. They've played, at the time, 8th ranked Geraldine in 3A, and then 6th ranked or 5th ranked Collinsville in 2A. In these numbers over here,
and it seemed like 3 or 4 years ago, they played Piedmont, I think, at one time.
Yeah, the Jamboree.
Yeah,
yeah. So they don't. It's just. I'm not saying nothing like it.
No.
I mean, I really hadn't. It's kind of crazy.
Can I make a point real quick?
Go ahead. Peanut Gallery. Go ahead.
2A Region 8, you've got, you're going to have 4 teams that make the playoffs. So you got 5 sitting at 4-0 in region. Then you've got 3 teams, which are Cedar Bluff, Collinsville, and North Sand Mountain, all sitting at 3-1. And then very, very steep drop off after that. Every other team is 1-3 or 0-4. So right now that region is pretty much decided. It's just going to be placement. Now, if 5 does beat Cedar Bluff this week and Collinsville beats Asbury, that moves Collinsville back up to second.
Yeah.
So Collinsville already losing to 5. They're really wanting that second spot.
Oh yeah. And North Stand comes to town, not looking ahead 2-5, which is going to be interesting. Everybody wants to see an exciting
That will be
player.
their biggest challenge. Yeah, the quarterback for North Sand Mountain is an absolute
And they're
ball
rolling
player.
right now because
They seem to have caught a little bit. Yeah, they seem to have caught a little bit of fire because we saw him over at Collinsville, and the kid from North Sand Mountain is maybe he's gotten some help since then, because before that game he was kind of doing a lot of stuff by himself because he was having to scramble and move around. But if he's got some weapons on the outside, that's a dangerous kid right there. And I've already heard some people from Fife talking about that was their toughest game last year, outside of maybe Collinsville. And again, it's looking like this year that's going to be the one they focus on, keeping him contained.
Peyton Stoner's quote, "He's everywhere and nowhere all at the same time."
That was a great quote.
Oh, it was. All right, the next game on our list is going to be the Ashville Bulldogs, coming off kind of a disappointing loss to the Hoax Bluff Eagles last week, 35-14. Got another pretty tough opponent in Cherokee County coming up, but they also are coming off a loss to Aniana, 49-21. Guys, which one of you guys want to take it away first?
Kevin, you can go ahead.
Well, that was an interesting ball game Friday night because our defense kind of held together. Hoax Bluff. I'll just say this: we played with Hoax Bluff, but we lost to Darien Meads. That guy, I missed the first half of when we played him last year, but I got to see full force that kid play Friday night. He scored on a 70-yard run. He scored. We had him backed up in the end zone, and I thought we were going to get him for a safety, and all of a sudden Ashton Gulledge flips it off to Meads, and 88 yards for a touchdown. I think he scored 4 touchdowns, and he scored two in the first half and 2 in the second half, and they were all. I think the shortest one was 50 yards. Now, as far as Asheville goes, we had over 415 yards of offense. We moved the ball on them pretty well. But we got situations where we got down at the 3-yard line, and as we were crossing the goal line, we fumbled the ball. But at the half, it was 21-14. I thought, the kids were fired up, and I thought one of our weaknesses all year has been able to finish. And we got the ball the second half, and I was talking to one of our sponsors, Buddy Ford. I was sat with him in the second half, and I said, you what? I said, I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative, but I'm just telling it like it is. I said, we got the ball. If we go 3 and out and y'all go up 28-14, we're done. And that's exactly what happened. And by the way, and Buddy asked me, "Because you got any relatives that play in the game?" I said, "Yeah, my quarterback, my fourth cousin is Ashton Gulledge. I ain't got anybody on the Asheville side I'm related to, or not that would claim me anyway." But Ashton, he took over in the second half. I mean, he probably had, I would say, close to maybe 100 yards because he was scrambling around. It's like it was Joe Montana back there.
Gritty.
Yeah, he was greedy. Of course, I want to say it runs in the family, but I don't think I've got that. I don't think I got that athletic skill that he's got.
You got the looks.
But one thing, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, there was lots of controversy about how many penalties Hoax Bluff got in the game. They had to have over 100 yards, and which I was fine with because we needed all the help we could get. But just once again, we're not able to finish, and I'll say this about this region.
It was pretty legit.
I was talking to the trainer for Cherokee County today, which, by the way, he works at Sparks. And he said they've got to beat Hoax Bluff to get into the playoffs because right now you've got Jacksonville, Aniana, Anniston, Hoax Bluff, and Cherokee. You got 5 teams competing for those 4 spots. And right now, I would say probably we're mathematically, since we're 0-4 in the region, we're done. So all we can do now is hopefully knock somebody out and ruin somebody's season.
Yeah, because Jacksonville and Aniana's both still undefeated in region
Yeah.
play.
Which, by the way,
You got that. Basically, the fourth spot is still open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aniston is.
They got their first loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I tell you what, Aniana don't know what's about to hit them when they go play at number 4. Now I got the kid's name wrong. Last name's Ron. Is it Higgins or Wiggins? Wiggins. Well, Aniana, they're gonna see a 4 flash that they ain't never seen.
He's a real deal.
Yeah.
But a funny stat though about when you guys played them, you guys actually I think outgained them offensively.
Yeah, we just turned the ball over 6 times, and he had
Do you know that?
2 punt returns and a kickoff return for a touchdown. So yeah, Aniana, I think you got this game one Friday night. See what happens.
Let's hear what you got, brother.
I just one thing I can't stand about us is whenever we get down, like Kevin said, we got down 28-14. They get so discouraged, and it just kind of rips my heart out because they don't think they can win, and they think that they're the better team, and they just give up, and I can't stand it about them. And I'm always quick to be like when it goes to halftime. I'm always quick to be at the fence to get them hyped up. I mean, you're only down 7 to one of the best teams in the state. What are you sad about? All right, get your head up and let's go. And then they come out, and then they'll be good for maybe a drive or 2, and then they fall apart offensively and defensively, and that's just where it goes away. And that's where they've got to fix their mistakes.
Makes sense. So, do you think it's an internal type deal? Something we got to get out of them moving forward to get them to
I'm just gonna say it.
have confidence?
It starts in the
themselves?
locker room. We got to have 45 guys that hate to lose.
Yeah.
That just literally because you think 5, if they're trailing, if they lose a game, you think they're gonna go on the sidelines and cry about it?
Exactly, and you think they're gonna when they lose a game, you think they're gonna be like, "Hey, our season's over." Like
I mean, these guys are great
doing
kids, but it's just we just got to get there and we just got to pound the crap out of somebody.
See, I think they go into Cherokee County with the will to beat somebody. I think they go in there and beat them. I mean, I don't know
The
that.
thing is, there's no easy opponent. In this league.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we play Cherokee County Friday night, and then the week after that, our last home game is against Cleveland County, which we put 34 points on them last year, but we gave up 54. Our defense is better this year, so I'd like to think our chances are good. And Aniston, we got to go over to Aniston. Now our last game's at Vincent. Now if we don't beat Vincent, we just need to burn the field house down. I mean,
Kevin's our
2A
course
school.
though, man.
I mean, these guys can do it. I'm behind them, but I'm just saying. It's just there's times, and I've talked to the coaches. There's times they just want to throw their hands up because you don't know what else to do. I mean, what?
No disrespect to Vincent.
Yeah, I was pretty
disrespectful.
And another thing, I think if Asheville's going to if they're going to go in and win, they're going to have to pull a Purdue this weekend. They're going to have to pull a Purdue versus Ohio State, and they're going to have to show them who's the better man. They're going to have to show them who's the better team.
Lay it all out.
Oh yeah. I mean, what do you got to lose this season?
Oh, you
You're
have
on
nothing
court
to lose.
region play.
You have
Exactly.
nothing to lose.
You don't got nothing to lose.
Time to play spoiler.
And I heard a couple of weeks ago some kids talking about they're going to quit if they lost because they had no chance to get into the playoffs and that.
Yeah.
Well, I say, hey, run them off now. Tell them soccer's available. Let's go play there.
Hey man, don't knock the soccer team.
No. I'm just saying that they can still go. Give them a chance to do. Because soccer's a totally different sport.
It's a fun sport,
Yeah.
man.
Let's move on.
It's pretty legit.
I want to keep both you guys here, and let's move on to Hoax Bluff, Cleveland County, before the FCC comes in with Kevin.
Hoax Bluff. Darren Meads is going to run down that field like they're going to Usain Bolt runs.
All right. So Hoax Bluff 4-2, coming off the 35-14 win over Asheville versus Cleveland County, who's 1-6, who lost 31-27 to White Plains last week. You know something about all these teams. So Hoax Bluff, a little bit better outing last week with Meads. Got things back on track offensively. They've been struggling. Cleveland County is struggling this season. I mean, that was their first win. They got one win on the season, and they've lost a tight one to White Plains. Kev, what do you say?
By the way, whoever said that Meads was hurt was lying. Y'all need to quit lying out there. That kid, I don't think you can hurt that kid. I wanted to get a chance to talk to him after the game, but it was it's so quick they went straight to the locker room. But by the way, the Terminator played a good game.
Real deal.
Yeah. So of course our quarterback's still playing, so he didn't do good. He didn't hit him too hard. But I mean, he played a good game defensively.
He had some tackles.
Oh yeah. But Hoax Bluff has to win this game. because they're, I don't know what their chances are. I don't think winning the region. I don't think they can still do that, but be able to get that second place. They need to win this game.
I think the best they can do is third place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because they still got to play Cherokee County and Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough task. So for Hopes Bluff, but
So, are they playing at the Woodshed? Or are they
No,
playing in
it's,
Cleveland?
it's at Jacksonville.
No, I mean like against Cleveland.
Cleveland County
Oh.
is at home.
At home, so it's at Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, it's not at the Woodshed, but I still think that Darien Meads and Ashton Village and that
Too
dynamic
much.
duo, they're gonna go down there and get it done.
Yep. We last year averaged Joe's young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. One of the best games of the year, 16-14,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the end. They missed a field goal at the end of the game.
Talking about the Jacksonville game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. That will be a big one. I want you guys to hang in here on this one too. I know neither one of you guys went to the game. I'll talk about this one right here, and then we'll move on down. We're going to talk about Gadsden City for a second. Gadsden City had a bad loss Thursday night. Reggie and I actually went up there to right outside Huntsville to Madison and watched James Clemens. Man, that was a tough game, 62-7. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Gadsden City kind of looked out of it from the first. They had a turnover on the second play of the game. They got a first down on the first snap, or the first actual snap. Nice out route. And right after that, they had sent a guy in motion, and it snapped it early, hit him in the shoulder. James Clemens picked it up. 2 plays later, they were scoring a touchdown. From that moment on, Gadsden City looked like they were just kind of on ice skates, like on the back of their heels. And when you play an offense as good as James Clemens, you've got to attack.
I was at work listening to that game, and it was 34-0. I go to the bathroom, come back, it's 41-0. I go to the bathroom again, it's 48-0. I thought, I'm gonna quit going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it was 55. It was what was it at the half? It was like 40,
Oh, it was
41-0.
Yeah, it was, they were just, they'd get a turnover, and there's like 40 seconds on the clock. And they'd just throw a bomb, and dude'd be wide open, catch it, touchdown. And you're just like, what? And then Gadsden City would like throw 2 or 3 incompletions, and the clock wouldn't move. Then they'd get the ball back, and they'd throw a bomb. You're just like, man, it's one of those things where, I mean, you've got to do some soul searching. You've got to, it's internal. You can't tell me Gadsden City don't have athletes. I know they got athletes. I see them. I'm beside them. I watch them do the drills. They got some really good athletes over there. It's right here, man. And the problem is they're going to play Florence. And Florence was picked to win that region. But they're struggling a little bit. They're 3-4 right now, but they were actually picked to win the region in the preseason. And James Clemens smashed them, and kind of once they smashed them, now they've kind of been back and forth. They are coming off a 28-23 win versus Huntsville last week. But look, last year Sessions did it. They had a lot of losses in a row, and then Sessions hit a hot streak right at the end of the year. They need to do that for morale moving forward. All right, everybody. And next game we're going to talk about is Collinsville and Asbury. And I got these gentlemen sitting in because they know a little bit about both these teams. And I know you've watched Collinsville play a couple times now. Collinsville at 5-1, only lost to 5 this year, coming off a 41-7, huge, massive win for homecoming. Just for the city of Collinsville, how big they built up their 100th year of football, and then to have a huge homecoming like they did, great success. Everybody on the team got to play, and to come out of there with a 41-7 win over Section. Now, playoff seeding's coming in. They're definitely going to try to lock up that 2 seed and hope Fife was to slip up twice. It's going to be very tough to do, but that's what they're looking for, and definitely want to lock down the 2nd seed so they can host the playoff game. Asbury still struggling pretty bad on the year. They got beat 49-6 again by Eider this time, which is not good, but surprising sad about Asbury. They're the only person to score on Fife. They scored more than anybody on Fife this year. They scored 6 points on them. But here, Player of the Week this week, which by the time this video drops will be tonight, is going to be Caleb Jones, our Offensive Player of the Week, and Brian Lopez, both of Collinsville. So be at the Gridiron tonight at 6:30. Check those 2 guys out. The city of Collinsville is very excited about having those 2 guys in. We'll talk about this game real quick. We're going to move on. We'll let both of you guys talk about this. Collinsville, offensively, defensively, pretty complete football team. Definitely want to host this playoff game coming up. So when you're playing a team like Asbury that you're supposed to win, talk about that type of preparation.
Yeah, a lot of times when you go into a game like this where you're about to, everybody knows you're about to just pound somebody's brain in here, right here. It's kind of the same setup as if you're going into a game where people don't give you a chance. The situation is you got to focus on play to play. You're winning this play. That's the same setup you have if you're going into a game against the number one team. You just have little victories you're looking for each play. You're looking for how you complete a block. You're looking for that your man stays in coverage and gets back in his zone. You're looking for the quarterback making the right reads. It's the same thing. You can't necessarily go into this game thinking, we want to complete a drive, because you very likely may take the first play for 90 yards in a game like this. So you can't focus on, driving the football and stopping drives for the other team. You've got to have incremental things you look at, which is, like I said, the same kind of a setup as a game where you may not be favored. So, they got to go into this game just thinking about doing your job. Everybody preparing, preparing. You've got a game plan for this game. This may be a game. I was just looking to see. We're talking about their playoff seeding. It looks like 2 weeks from Friday they get Cedar Bluff, which appears to be that may end up being the game for the 2 seed right there. So this could be even a situation where you game plan for future games. You see what works. You see guys, and you might put people in different positions to see how they work. This is going to be a game where it's basically going to be a glorified practice, really. So, gotcha. You definitely want to stay crisp, though. You don't want to see anybody going in there and just rolling over, and you don't want to see somebody not paying attention to detail and not doing the things they need to do, because this could be a game where you set bad habits also if you don't go into it focusing on doing your job and completing to the whistle. Now, you obviously probably have a chance to get some young guys in here, too, and get a look at them.
That's a good point. Kevin, it's the 100th year of Collinsville football. It's been a pretty special season so far.
Well, Asbury's going to feel like they're 100 years old. It's a good thing this game is at Asbury, because if it was at Collinsville, I was going to say they could leave their game plan at trade day the next morning. But in all seriousness, being on the road, it doesn't matter. No matter who it is, you still have, you've got a routine that you have to do, and you're at another team's stadium, so you're not in your own element. So there's still a propensity for not, in most teams, not to focus or to say, hey, look at the other, get looking at other things like the press box, how the stadium's built. And next thing you know, you've turned the ball over, or you've jumped off sides, or and of course I'm just gonna say it. Sometimes no matter who when you're on the road, you're facing. And I'm not saying teams intentionally home cooking, but sometimes the officiating tends to favor the home team. So if they get up there and have a bunch of offsides or it just depends on how the game is called too. It could be a struggle for at some point, and then finally you got to stand up and start executing.
Yep. Which is what he's talking about right off the hop.
I want to ask something real quick. We've talked about 5A, the north half, being very talented. Take a look at this 2A, what we have right here in our backyard. We got 5 at number 1, Ohatchee at 3, Collinsville is at 8, and then you got Ranburn sitting right outside the top 10, and Cedar Bluff sitting outside the top 10. It's murderer's row.
And it wasn't too long ago, Westbrook was in that region.
Yeah.
Well, they're blessing God that they're not in that region anymore.
Westbrook is in Apaches.
Yeah, they're in Ohatchee and Ranburn.
Yeah.
In the Class 2A rankings, out of 25 votes, 5 had 24.
Wow.
Who's the other one, Ohatchee?
Ohatchee got a first place vote. So I thought that was very interesting.
We're not going this far into the playoffs yet, but the thing that's going to happen is if things work out is you're going to end up having a 3-way matchup between Ohatchee, Collinsville, and Fife.
Which is unfortunate.
It is, yeah, and that's what I said in talking about this before. Is somebody's going to have to beat somebody twice. Somebody's going to have to go through 2 of them, and then I don't know what they have in the South in 2A. I know they've got some talented teams down there, but that's going to be an unfair advantage after you've gone through 2 weeks of that, and then you get to the state championship game. You're going to be beat up going into the state championship game.
Real Town's really, really good, and Laverne barely beat Goshen.
I think so. We don't cover the South very much, but special shout out to Goshen.
Yeah.
They lost to Luverne 27-26.
Very close game.
And one thing about the regions, what they do, the playoff, as far as the regions, they'll swap up this year. Like 5 and like last year, I think 5 played 7.
Or 6 played 8.
Yeah, and but they'll swap up, so it's possible that they may end up playing Ohatchee.
I think
in a
Collinsville
closer
gets to Ohatchee before I'm telling you,
been-
Collinsville and
yeah.
Ohatchee would be a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that.
Well,
And that's not something
I
that.
think that, Coach Willingham, the good thing about Coach Willingham and playing Fife already is they've got a blueprint of, okay, they do this when we do that, and they do this when we do that, which Ohatchee's basically the same team as Fife, so they know, okay, this worked on this and this worked on this. So they've got a little bit of an advantage there. Plus, I'm telling you right now, I hadn't seen Ohatchee in my own two eyes. I know they're extremely, extremely good. Caleb Jones is extremely hard to game plan against.
Absolutely.
Could you imagine the matchup Caleb Jones versus was it Jermaine Thomas?
Dominique.
Dominic.
Yeah.
Where
Oh,
I get
yeah.
Jermaine from?
Oh,
Sorry, bud. Dominic.
The Caleb Jones is like a blanket that's too short. He is trying to defend him because, like, you can, okay, let's fully take away the pass. Let's pull our blanket up to our neck where your feet's covered. Then you're like, well, let's cover our feet up because they're covered.
Then
Well,
you
here
hit.
comes then your neck's covered.
I haven't seen a high school player in years that could run as well as him and pass as well as him and combine both of them into one quarterback.
Yeah, I told the story. Mike King and I had left Fife and went to Collinsville at halftime. We met David there, and he's sitting there talking about a hunting story on the sidelines. They were up on Brindley Mountain by like 20-something, and Brindley Mountain kept scoring. So he said, Coach Willingham said, "Hey, Caleb, I need the ones. They keep pushing us. Let's end it." Caleb goes, "Hey, man, I'll be right back, and I'll finish." He goes out there and he runs a 68-yard touchdown down the sidelines. He comes back, takes his helmet off, and picks up the conversation right where he was. He's like, so anyways, we're at the Thanksgiving dinner, and then he just picked up my brother's like, what?
I can see him doing that.
Dude, and then he says, hey, we need you back out there with ones on defense. He goes, all right, I'll for real be back in a minute. I kid you not, hand before God, he goes out there and gets a pick on the masked man from North Sand Mountain. Then he comes back over and takes his helmet off and starts talking. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But he wasn't doing it like some arrogant showboat way. He said, I'll be right back.
He just all business. I'll be right back. I'll take care of
He
this.
wasn't laughing or saying, oh, watch this, man. He just said, I'll be back, man, when I finish telling you.
He's very serious when it comes to his football and his
Yeah.
hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hunting.
Yeah.
Hunting fits, especially. You guys hang in there. We're going to talk about Ohatchee real
You want
fast.
to talk about the
Player of the week?
yeah?
Oh, yeah, player of the week. I did. I opened up with that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Ohatchee. We're going to talk about Ohatchee for a second before you guys go. They're off this week. Healing up time, getting some dinged up. Had a big win over a very powerful offense last week in West End. Had been averaging, what's West End averaging? 40s a game, probably?
A lot.
They held them to 7, so it's 49-7. Huge win for Ohatchee. Now it's off week time. David, walk me through an off week with Ohatchee.
Well, let me preface this.
Yeah.
This is an off week where you're going into Ramburn.
Yeah,
So you're
true.
going into your biggest game of the year.
Yeah. At Ramburn,
So,
who is going to be circling the wagons. waiting
oh,
on them.
absolutely. This is a time right here, I think, for Ohatchee. This is a time where you're going to get healed up because you've played, which I just saw. They apparently have 2 off weeks this year. They had an off week, I guess, the first week of the season, so they have 2 off weeks. But that still means you've gone about 7 games in a row here, where you're beat up. And the type of football they play, there's a lot of hitting. Your linemen are in there getting scrunched up every time, and a lot of times they're delivering the blows. But still, that's going to cause an effect over time. Then Dominique Thomas, he's got some tread on the tire right now left, but he is gone. I'm sure, I don't know how many miles a game he's running right now because there's a lot of times he's not getting touched down the sideline. So, but that can all take an effect on you as the season goes along. The hits, the running, you just want to heal up everybody and get healthy right here. A lot of teams take this opportunity to go back and hammer home some things. Ohatchee doesn't really necessarily need to go home and hammer home a bunch of stuff right now. This could be a time where they can go take a couple of days out of pads this week. You can go back and do helmets a couple of days a week this week and just kind of work on fundamental things and get in there and just rest up and heal up because obviously going into Ramburn, this is going to be their biggest game of the year and this will be for the region. So that's your number one goal every year is to win the region. No matter what happens after that, if you win the region, you call it a successful season. And with an opportunity to have that, I have a feeling Coach Martin's going to have his guys full interest this entire week.
I agree.
Well, I'm just going to say it like this. I've seen Ramburn's schedule.
Mhm.
They played their first game last week because they have not played anybody. In my opinion, as far as, they beat Glencoe 35-0. They beat Gaston, Woodland. I mean, they're all blowouts. And then, and they,
Their schedule is
yeah.
is
was light.
heavy on the back
Yeah.
end.
And of course they struggled at halftime against Westbrook, and they were to pull out the win. But Ranburn's got a little team coming to their stadium this coming week. Danny Warfel Pierce, West End Patriots coming to town.
They're going to Ramburn?
Mm-hmm. And
Danny Werfel Pierce.
so while Ohatchie's going to be resting, Ramburn's going to be chasing that guy around all night.
Good point.
So and I don't think this game's going to be close. I think Ohatchie will win by at least 2 touchdowns. Because last year they beat them 28-0. But like of course it's one of those situations where Ohatchie's playing down there. So it's all about the mindset, and I feel like Coach Martin he'll rattle their cages and get their attention. So it probably won't take much to do so.
Ramburn is salivating to get them there. They want. They're one of the few teams that Ohatchie's going to play this year that's not beat before they get off the bus.
That's not dreading it.
Yeah, they are begging for. They want Ohatchie in their backyard.
And I hate to even say this, but looking at Ohatchie's region, that's 2A Region 6. That's not a very good region. You've got a couple of good teams, but you've got some teams that are at the bottom and are not competitive. Yeah. So I think that comes into play in the playoffs. David and I were at the Ohatchie game a couple weeks ago, and they were up 42-0 at half. Yeah. But when it was 21-0, they kicked the onside kick, and that was they're practicing. I mean,
you've got to take the opportunity to work on stuff that you're not going to see in a real game, and you want to see how your guys do that. And a lot of times, if they can do it in a time like that where there's not a whole lot of pressure going on, that's going to give you confidence going into a time when you've got to have that. Whether it be onside kicks, whether it be you give a certain look on a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 1. You want the opportunity to see what your team's going to do, no matter if it really has an impact on the game or not.
Real quick question for you. You want to take a guess at who kicks their onside kicks?
Dominique.
He did a pretty
Swiss
good
Army.
too.
That's right. Swiss Army. He's legit. He's a real deal.
He probably plays in the band at halftime.
That'd be hilarious.
What does a kid not do?
That's a good point.
Lose?
Let's talk about Southside Alexandria real fast. Go into that one. Southside coming off their first, and I'm telling you, I seen the guys at Applebee's Saturday or Friday night. They was happy to get that first win. They were fired up. Southside won 42-7 over Douglas. Alexandria come off a gut-wrenching double overtime win at Sardis, 16-10, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Man, that's a tough game for Southside, but you got a little bit of confidence under your belt now. And even though you're 1-5, Alexandria's 5-0. You know for a fact Alexandria's got to be in the back of their mind thinking about Etowah. Mm-hmm. This could be one of those trap games.
Yeah.
And seeing how Southside or how Sardis played Alexandria, that's got to give Southside some hope. What's got to happen to make that interesting?
Well, I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, I've been in situations like this where you're going through a season and the season's going, not the way you wanted it to. You're struggling through the stretch there. Now, Southside picked up about this time last year and went on a roll and made things work last year. The thing you've got to watch out for is in a time like this, when I guess they started off 0-5 and they got their first one right here, it is such a monkey off your back feeling when you get that win. That is such a great feeling to get that 0 off the board. You've got to watch out not to just be settled with that. You've got to watch out just thinking, okay, we got our win, what's going to happen next, And Southside, I don't know what they are age-wise as far as what they've got on the team, but they've got to have some leadership there to say, hey, guys, we still got an opportunity for the playoffs here. We're not done with this season. That's a region win. If you go beat Alexandria, who right now is looking at the 2 seed right now, if the season keeps going the way it is, you've got a chance to finish up with maybe even a 3 seed if you keep going. So somebody in there has got to step up and say, hey, this season's not done. 1 win's not what we came here to do.
That region's the region to do it in.
Yeah,
that's why they went on that run.
And yeah, they've got teams ahead right here that they can do this with. Yeah. So
they lost a very important part of that defense.
Oh yeah. That's a tremendous loss. Yeah, and he would be the guy. Now he can still step up and do that. Just because you're not in there technically in in the round, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be the one over there whispering in their ears. He's another coach on the field right now, is what he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Chance Moon, Michael Rich, some of these guys, they've got to step up right here, and they've got to be leaders in that locker room. And they beat Alexandria last year, so it's not like not like they can't believe right here. They beat Alexandria last year, and this would be a way to go ahead and announce, hey, we're not done with this season, and it's a good way to have your focus going into a game like Alexandria right here. It's a good game to keep your focus.
Yeah, they're still in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
They're sitting fifth in the region, right behind Sardis, and they kind of control their own destiny right now.
Yeah, they're still in it. Alexandria, kudos to Coach again to have such a young team and to be sitting at 5-0 this deep in the season. That's pretty impressive.
I kind of find it hard. Of course, the game's at Alexandria, and I kind of find it hard to believe that a coach team find it hard for them to motivate against Southside, considering they lost to them last year. So I personally don't think that he's going. It's going to be kind of hard to get them to not overlook Southside with that all coming in. But I would imagine the way they didn't just get beat; they got beat by 3 touchdowns last year.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
So
we talked to the guys that week of the game.
And
I remember.
And like I said, and some of those guys from Alexandria, I'm sure they want to settle score.
Yeah.
Which you never know. Just like I said, with that all coming in, it's possible they may get over there and think they got it in the bag, and then they find themselves trailing in the fourth quarter. So that'll be an interesting ball game.
Let's talk about Westbrook and Gaston right fast. Westbrook coming off a loss to Ranburne, 33-13. Gaston, another bad loss last week. Who did they get beat? 56-0? Cleveland. Yeah, so, man, Gaston's really struggling this year. They got 6 points all season, I believe. But, the thing about Westbrook is it's circle the wagons time now, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
You got your 2 hardest people off the schedule.
Yeah.
It's go time.
Now is the time. You had goals at the beginning of the season. Sometimes you have to adjust the goals right now, but they're still clearing the playoffs. That's as long as when you get in, it begins a new season. Mm-hmm. So their goal right now is to make it into this, to get on a streak right here, and get momentum going into the playoffs, because chances are right now you're going to travel somewhere. But if you start this second half, you 3, 4, whatever games we got left right here, if you start on a roll right there, it doesn't matter what the seeds are. You're a 3 seed, you're going up against 2 seeds. Sometimes you're the better team as a 3 seed in those matchups. So they've got to find a way to go back and work at the things that they did not get accomplished in the last couple of games against Ohatchee and Ranburne. There's a lot of teams that didn't get much accomplished against those 2 teams.
2-game stretch.
Oh, that's a tough stretch. But it's also a figure yourself out stretch right there.
Ain't you glad it's kind of in the middle of the season?
You're glad you've got it over with. You got a chance to work. You're glad you saw where you matched up against those teams, so you know what you got to work with and what you need to improve on.
Here's the odd thing about the way Alabama high school does football playoffs. If you travel in the first round, you pull that first round win, you get a win, you come back home for the second round. Right? I mean,
most cases, yeah.
Yeah, if you travel,
does the 1 seed still get 2 guaranteed home games? It used to be the 1 seed got 2 guaranteed. I don't know if it's still that way or not.
I think it's just the way.
If you traveled the week before,
that's
unless you play a team that's higher in the bracket, and then whoever has the higher wins the tiebreaker or whatever.
I know last year North Jackson Hoax Bluff was playing round 2, and I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, dude.
Yeah, that's just the luck of the draw.
Basically 2 of the top teams in 4A. That was crazy.
Witherspoon was very important to that team, because you look at what North Jackson's doing this year. They got 1 win on the year.
Yeah.
Well, I think Darian Meads ran their program back about a decade.
He didn't
he played him last year.
Will
Clemens, I think, ignited that fire.
Yeah.
What game did I say? 16. Jacksonville Hoax Bluff was one of my favorite games. I take that back. North Jackson Hoax Bluff was one of my favorite games last year.
Oh, that was beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. We got one more game to talk about, Josh. If you want to hop on over here.
Yes, I'm ready.
You want to hop on over here?
Yeah. All right, guys. The next game we're going to talk about is Central Clay County versus St. Clair County. Central Clay County coming off a heartbreaking defeat for the second week in a row. 2 weeks ago, they lost to number 1 ranked Jasper in double overtime. They went for the win, went for 2 in the second overtime, didn't get it. Last week, a very good Mortimer Jordan team came down to Central Clay County and jumped on them in the second half, third quarter. It was 34-14. 5 minutes left in the game, and Central Clay County fought back and made it 34-28 and almost recovered the onside kick, but just wasn't meant to be. So Central Clay County now sits at 3-1 in the region, and they have 2 losses on the year. And last year they had 3 losses and ended up winning the state. So I wouldn't count Central Clay out yet. Was you able to watch any of that game?
I didn't get to watch it, but I actually saw the only time I've seen Central Clay was I got to see the actual state championship game last year, and got to see the type of team they were, and that might have been one of the best games I've ever been to last year. I just look at this and I know the type of team Central Clay is, the type of Coach Horn is, and losing 2 games in a row for a team like this is not something they're used to.
No.
But a lot of times when you are quite possibly like Central Clay is one of the best teams in the state, you've gotten 2 games under your belt now where you've been challenged 2 straight times, and some points you may have got outplayed, some points it may have just been luck of the draw, but they go into the second half of this season, and it looks like they got another good team in the region, Sylacauga, that they'll play in a couple of weeks, and this could be a driving motivator right there. They're not. It's not in their hands anymore what happens in their region. The region's out of their hands now. It's going to depend on what Mortimer Jordan does for the region. But from here on out, it will be in their hands because they're going to. If both those teams keep winning, they'll see them again. So this is going to be a driving force for the rest of the season right here because there's only 2-3 teams in the entire state in 5A that can compete with Central Clay. And
a couple of them are in that region.
Yeah. They happened to see 2 of them here the last 2 weeks. Like I've said plenty of times before, when things like these happen, you want these losses to come mid-season. Some teams go undefeated throughout the season. Their bad game, their loss comes in the second round of the playoffs. This didn't happen to Central Clay. They've got their chance to rebound and make this. This is going to be a fire in their pit right here. This is about to be a hunger for the rest of this season that's going to drive them because when a team like them that's not used to losing, they don't like that taste in their mouth. And now they've had it 2 weeks in a row. They're not going to have that taste in their mouth for the rest of the season.
They've got 2 really good teams left on their schedule in the regular season. They got Center Point and Sylacauga, which are actually 1 and 2 in their region. So it's a tough region.
Yeah.
Kevin, what you got?
I know Coach Horn won't say this because he wants them to be focused. But for a team like Central Clay, they lost to Jasper, and I think they just had a lull and just still was not over the Jasper game and got beat by Mortimer Jordan. But St. Clair County comes at a perfect time. I mean, St. Clair County is winless. They're real young. They just the coaching staff. The coach there is his first year. He got promoted because another coach left to go to another school. So this is a perfect. And it's at St. Clair County, which heck, it's about 40 minutes away from here. So
yeah.
But and it's and of course St. Clair County's a rival of Ashville, so I'm not going to lose any sleep if Central goes down and beats them 56-0.
Well, St. Clair County, God love them.
They're the Aints, not the Saints this year.
Yeah, they Central Clay's coming up. They're getting Central Clay at the wrong time. I'll tell you that. Danny Horn is. I know he's got them boys, which I think they've been focused and zeroed in all year. It's just 2 really good teams. One was double overtime, and the other was they literally played. They played bad for a couple of minutes, but that couple of minutes was 2 or 3 scores.
One thing I like about Coach Horn, I thought they just ran the spread, but I watched that Jasper. They run the wishbone. It's pitch here, pitch there, fullback up the middle. I love it.
Yeah, and I got to talk with Coach Horn Friday before the game. He told me it'd be okay for me to come in there and pregame, and I got to listen to the pregame speech. And I tell you, there was almost a Josh-shaped wall, hole in the wall, because it had me fired up. And I may play this when I edit this, but there was an amazing thing that happened during halftime of that game. Towards the end of, right before they were getting ready to go back out, he knew they were getting the ball back on kickoff. He asked them, what do you want to do? What do you feel like you do the best? And nobody said anything. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. And he draws up a play. And he turns around and he says, now, if you do this, and if you believe that you can run it back, we'll run it back. If everybody does their job. And we went out there, they kicked it off, and I'm standing on the 10-yard line where they're coming toward. And he bust through that hole, and they scored. And it was, you want to talk about chills, it sent chills down my spine. It's kind of like when a basketball coach draws up a play coming out of the timeout, and it works to perfection. It was amazing.
Did you get a chance to see the look on Danny's face when they did that? Or, 'cause I bet he was probably just like a proud father.
Yeah, he has the same look.
Well, he's a coach, I feel.
Yeah, it's he looks the same. It's hard to get a read on him, but when he's on the field now, kind of like some other coaches that we talk to, when the camera's off and nobody else is around, pretty good character. They lighten up, and you get to see a different side to them. But I think St. Clair County is in for a long night Friday night.
Yeah.
I hope it is a long night.
But
I'm
yeah.
just looking at that region. I mean, that region may be one of the best regions in the state. I mean, that's unreal, the competition they face. And, that can be a blessing and a curse, because the blessing is you're ready for that competition. You've already seen teams that you're going to see. The curse is, I mean, man, you're getting beat up. You're getting beat up throughout that season, but you're used to that stage, though.
And they're playing in one of the toughest regions in 5A, and then they scheduled Jasper.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the region, how the AHSA putting people in different regions. That Central Clay is what, about 2.5 hours from here?
It's about hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Okay, well, because like I said, they got to come all the way up here and play St. Clair County, and it's just weird how these.
That is a big region. It reaches far.
It's
pretty
stretched
far.
out. So
yeah. But. Yep. So Central Clay is a 42-point favorite according to the numbers.
Probably a little under right there.
I would say that's cutting it a little bit short, but we'll see. And I think that's going to be it for this week. We hit everybody up. Miss anybody? All right, guys. Hey, hit the bell for notifications. Please like, subscribe, leave comments. Bad, good. We can take it. We've heard them all. So. Thanks for watching Average Joe Sports Talk. We're out.